Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to NLRM. We're virtual tonight. If you don't know, there's a huge storm here in the Midwest, and there's currently 15 inches of snow outside, so we cannot get to the church this evening. So, thank the Lord for virtual concepts.
Mm.
We haven't been in this space since, wow, March of 2020, once the pandemic hit. So, I am excited that still able to do this live because every year I try to get out of doing the financial management series. And then Pastor and myself talk, and then other people say how much of a blessing it is. So I just want to share the information. So, welcome to New Life Restoration Ministries. So, we do believe that God will restore you and give you a brand new life. I am Lady Cece Bell. And of course, my husband is here, Pastor JJ Bell, being without the media team tonight. So, so we're going to see how Pastor Jay does since the media team's not here, and we thank heavens for the media team. And we miss you this evening. I know Lady Bell misses you this evening. Okay. So, we want to talk about the management series. Like I said, we're going to talk about financial freedom, loan buying, home buying, things of that nature. Also, we're going to get into tax and financial freedom also on next Wednesday's episode. And then we'll get into health and wellness. And then the third week, and then the fourth week, we'll have time management. Elder Adams and I will be back for the It's a Wrap series, and we'll discuss the time management. But since we're snowed in, probably at 15 inches, and we're getting more tonight, we're just going to make the best of this virtual space that we're in this evening. But I'm excited we can still do it. So please be patient with us if we have some technical difficulties, as we don't mean for it. We're just probably working out some kinks here. All right. So I have two friends joining me this evening. I have Dan Lehman from Prime Lending, and I believe my virtual media team is going to show the QR code and what Dan will be showing this evening. But I was just discussing with Dan, we met in 2004. So we're both very seasoned, is what I'm going to call us this evening. I don't want to use the other word, but I'm so happy I met him. What I do like about Dan Lehman, he's worked for other organizations. He's currently with Prime Lending out of Oak Brook, Illinois. But Dan will always tell you the truth. He's not going to sugarcoat something for you. He gives you a very personal experience. He's not going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what you need to hear to be able to get approved for your loan to buy a home. And then I also have Sharon Burr with me from Signature Realty, and located in Frankfort, Illinois on LaGrange Road. She's going to talk about that whole home buying experience after Mr. Lehman. So we thank them both for joining us this evening. And so we can actually get started right away. I'm going to pass it over to Dan Lehman from Pine Lending. Thanks, Dan, for joining us.
Just want to get started here. We'll talk about a couple of things. I'm going to put a flyer up I'm going to go through a program and show you everything. But like mentioned before, there is a flyer that you'll get. There's a QR code where you can get the same information for yourself for personal use for later on. Also, there's some other, I want to go over some of the things that are going on in the marketplace. But let me get that up first so you can kind of see what we're talking about. And then hope everyone can see that. So basically, we're talking about first-time buyers. Good. Okay. So just want to make sure everyone knows that this flyer that I'm showing right now is part of that. The apply now is one of them, but there's also another one that has a flyer on it. And if you need more information, we'll have my email and stuff, but you can contact me that way too. Also, some of the things we're going to talk about today were some questions I already received. I had some information about that. What I do is very personal and very private. It's your credit, it's your employment, it's your family, it's your life that we're talking about. So some things we can't discuss in this kind of format. And just feel free to contact me through my information that's going to be given to you to go over that stuff. I'd be more than happy to go over those things with you on one-on-one basis to help you, guide you through the whole process of buying a home. But we're going to first talk about on here, we're going to start with the first-time home with the down payments, mortgage rates, credit scores, all these things, you've heard these things before. We're going to kind of go over a little bit more and give you a little bit of idea how it all pertains to you in the process. The main numbers that matter, like credit scores. As you can see in the chart below there, it kind of gives you an idea where the exceptional rates are. When you're 800 or above, you can do anything you want. I mean, you're golden. You can do whatever you want. When you get and very good between 74 and 799, you can do pretty much everything you want to. And you get to good, you get a little bit below 700, and then we start getting below that 660, 670, and the 580 level. That gets a little more difficult for you. So those are things that we could talk more on a regular basis. If you're in that lower level, how to get yourself out of those levels and how to get yourself to the higher scores to help you with future and purchasing. Interest rates. A lot of people are concerned about interest rates right now. If you're watching the marketplace and see what's going on out there, let's face it, the Fed's changed their view of how they're going to do things. So we're looking at a rise in interest rate market. Some of the things have already been built into the marketplace right now. Some of the things are already there. You don't have to worry. It's the Fed's kind of already told us a little bit what they can do, but we don't know what's going to happen a year from now. We do know in the short term, the Fed is going to be raising rates. Now, what does that mean? The Fed only raises short-term rates, which would be credit card rates, bank rates, things like that banks borrow from, but not actual interest rates. But it does reflect eventually over to interest rates. So that's why it's important to follow what's going on there. The market feels we're going to probably get more into the 4% range. And some people might be a little bit nervous about that. But I've been in this business for over 30 years. And when I first got into this business, interest rates were 11%. So 4% is not the end of the world. It might not be what it was during the summertime. Interest rates were lower then, but that's the past. You can't worry about the past. You got to go on to the future. And you got to see what your situation is, how you're going to carry on to your life to move forward for you. So even though rates are going up, housing prices will probably come down a little bit, I would hope, with what's going on, or at least level out, not keep on going up like they were, in last year. And housing will still be affordable for you. You just have to find the right house for you. The next section we're talking about there is debt to income ratio. That's kind of your main, what we look at as far as lenders. We look at your total income, which is your gross income, not after your taxes and your other expenses, but your income before all those things are taken out. We look at the gross income, and we look at a percentage of that is what is your, and plus all your debts is your debt to income ratio. And that's what most programs go by. Most are like around 43%, some 45, some a little bit higher. But as first-time home buyers, we like to keep you at that 45 or less because we don't want you to overextend yourself. Now, you always hear about down payments. A lot of times, some people even still say to me today, they say, "Oh, I thought you had to put 20% down to buy a house." Well, that's not true. There's always been programs available for less than 20% down. 20% down avoids private mortgage insurance. That's an additional expense you have to take because you're not putting 100%, because you're not putting 20% down. If you look down further down on that chart, you're looking at FHA, VA, USDA, and a couple different conventional programs. FHA, I've always said, was always the first-time home buyer program. But FHA requires 3.5% down, gives you lower credit scores to be able to qualify by. So it's a little more buyer-friendly when you're first time buying a house. VA is the only program that's out there, legitimate program out there that allows you to do no money down. So you do 100% financing through VA. USDA is mainly more like for urban areas. For non-urban areas, for rural areas. And that helps you with no down payment in those areas, but there are income limits. And then Fannie and Freddie both, so a lot of people don't know this, but conventional financing, you can do, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer for it either. You can buy with 3% down conventionally. As long as you have a 620 or better credit score, that's another avenue for purchasing. So it does help give you a little more available programs out there for you. Now, I don't know if we have any questions right now at this point in time, or do you want me to continue to go on with this, with what the presentation? Okay.
Oh, okay. I don't see any questions at this time.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
go
just keep
through
going. But
the-
if you have, Yeah, but they are watching. So if you have any questions, you can put them online and I can relay them to Dan if he doesn't answer the questions we already have.
Okay. Now, going through the process, the application process. Now, you're on this call right now, which you're doing the right thing. You're being proactive. You're trying to figure out how you can qualify, how you can buy a house, what you can do when you buy your first home. It's always more important to get yourself pre-qualified than start looking at houses, because once you know what you actually qualify for, then you can start looking at houses in that range instead of looking at $300,000 houses when you only qualify for a $200,000 house. Those 200,000 houses are not going to look that good after you looked at $300,000 houses. So that's why a lot of times realtors don't want to take you out to look at houses. It's not because they don't want to waste your time. They don't want to show you something that you don't qualify for. They want to show you the houses that you qualify for so you can buy something. So it's very important to make sure you get qualified first, and that's the initial stage of the process of applying for a loan. I always say, on one of the things, the flyers I have there, apply now. You can go on there, you can put your information, and I can start, run all your stuff where you can start to see where you qualify at today. So then you can start going forward with it and let you know what you have to do to get to that goal you want to be at too. You might not qualify for what you want, but we can help you guide you to get to that goal. Next part of the process, once you get approved and you find a house, you're going to do an appraisal. The appraisal on every program is different. For conventional financing, there's really not much issues with conventional when it comes to an appraisal. Even on some deals, I've a couple of deals recently where no appraisal was required, which is unusual. You think that's, wow, why would do a loan without appraisal? But if there's enough activity in an area, Fannie and Freddie will say, hey, that value makes sense and there's no appraisal needed. But on other cases, like with FHA and VA, the appraisal is very important. And you got to worry about, on those scenarios, you got to worry about the property itself. Many people get concerned when they see only, no FHA offered on the property. They automatically think there might be something wrong because FHA has issues with properties. FHA is not as stringent as they were in the past, but they want to make sure that the house you're purchasing is safe, sound, and sanitary. You want to make sure that the house you're not going to have any problems when you buy that house, because you're 9 times out of 10, you're a first-time home buyer, and you don't want to have a situation where that house is going to cause you more expenses down the road after you purchase it. The other thing on this part too, before we go too far, and this doesn't have it in, I just put a note for myself to remind me about this. You should always put a budget together for yourself. It's very important that even though I can qualify you probably for more than what you want, if you don't budget yourself, you have to make sure, what can we really afford to pay in a mortgage? You want to make sure you put, what are all your expenses? There's some expenses I might not know about. If you have childcare expenses, that's not going to be on your credit report. If you don't disclose it to me, I don't know that. So there's other things you might have, their expenses that you don't know that might affect what you're looking at buying. So you want to be stringent on also doing a budget for yourself to make sure you go through all your expenses, all your bills, all your income, and then work from there and figure out what you have left over for housing. Credit scores, loan process. Now, the process of a loan is when your loan actually gets submitted to underwriting, to the processor to prepare for go to underwriting. During the process of your loan, some things might come up that we didn't talk about, that you and I didn't talk about, because I have an advantage over the processor because we can have a conversation. And you might tell me some things in a conversation that I already know, so I know it's okay. But when the processor sees the loans, there might be they might have some questions, and an underwriter might have some questions. So you always want to make sure when you're in the process of a loan that whatever the loan officer asks you for, get it to he or she as quickly as possible, because that can cause delays. You want to make sure all the questions that are out there are answered before it goes to the underwriter. You'll have less conditions when it comes back, and it'll make the process smoother for you. Then after your loan has been approved by underwriting, you're going to have conditions. Those conditions you have to go through as quickly as possible. Make sure you cover those conditions, clear those items up as quickly as possible. And then once those conditions are clear, you get a clear to close. And then once you have the clear to close, then you're able to close on the house and buy in and have your actual closing and purchase. So again, this is going through a couple of different things on the next page here, going through different aspects of conventional between 3 to 5% down, FHA 3.5% down, but you can go as low as a 580 credit score in an FHA loan. Now, even though it says that, it's not like you still have to have some credit corrections. You have to have something like 3 months reserves or some other income that's not being used or some other qualifications, and you got to stay within the ratio. So it's not like it's a no-brainer at a 580. That's still going to be difficult to get through. You're going to have to jump through some hoops to get that. Adjustable rate mortgages. Now everyone likes a fixed rate mortgage. Everyone wants a fixed rate. They don't want the rate to change. But with the upward trend, with the trend that we're in right now, with interest rates going up, adjustable rate mortgages might be on a comeback. And that's something that it's not a bad thing to have an adjustable rate mortgage. Adjustable rate mortgage makes sense. And one of the things you want is when you sit down with a loan officer, you want to say to the loan officer what your goals are. And a loan officer ask you what your goals are. In other words, how long do you plan to be in this house? Are you planning on moving? What do you plan on doing with this house? Do you plan to be in a short term, long term? Is this your last house you're going to buy? Is this your first house you're going to buy? And you're just doing this move to build some equity and go on to your next house. Well, if that's the case, if you're looking for a short term, or if you have a job, you're going to be transferred. An adjustable rate mortgage might work for you. It'll give you a lower interest rate for a short term. You could do a 5, 7, 3, 5, 7 year ARM product, which the rate stays the same for that time period, and it might benefit you for qualification wise. So that's another product that hasn't been a big deal since rates have been down, but might come back. You might see more people looking for that. Interest only is another one for short term, or where people don't. I don't recommend it that much. Some people, if they're playing the market, they think the market value of the house is going to go up. So it lowers their payment by just paying the interest only, not paying the principal part. But you don't have any reduction in the principal, and it's not through the whole life of the loan. So that's something that I don't really recommend that much. But VA, if anyone out there is a veteran and you haven't taken advantage of your veteran qualification, your veteran benefits, that is one of the few programs out there you can actually put no money down. And the guidelines for it are very flexible and within the buyer's best interest. So the next part here is talking about rent with the option of renting or owning. And I always say renting has its advantages. When you rent, you have no, you're not responsible, and not that you're not responsible, but you have no long-term commitment when you rent. In other words, if you're looking at moving a short period of time, if you're being transferred, renting might be your best option because you don't have to worry about selling the property. When it rents up, you leave. You don't have to worry about it. If you have a credit situation or reason why you can't buy, there's a rent, but there's so much more advantages to owning. The fact you can build equity, you can build the stability of knowing what your payment's going to be. Renting, you don't know. Every year, if you rent more than 1 year, that rent could go up. You don't know what the rent's going to be from 1 year to another. But when you have your own mortgage, you have that stability there and the protection on that side for you. So I don't know if I went through that too fast, or did I take enough time there? I didn't want to take too long. But is there any questions?
Well, I got a few, but I don't know if you want me to ask them now.
Sure.
Can you? Okay. So when you talked about pre-qualification, how long does that take? Somebody asked.
Well, the only thing when you do a pre-qualification, the first thing you do is you run a credit report and see what your credit report looks like. And then we'd want to see some documentation. If you don't have documentation, we can use the work number if you work for a major company. We can see what your income is and get a good idea. But you should know from a lender within the same day or within a couple of days at the most, if he's waiting for documentation from you. So it really comes down to what the most of the delays are. Let's say you're self-employed in order to get pre-qualified. Well, I need 2 years of tax returns for you, unless you've been in business for more than 5 years. Then I need 1 year, but I need to see your tax returns before I could determine what your income is. So qualification all depends upon the borrower. If you take more time to get the documentation we need, that's going to delay your qualification. But it should, on most buyers, if they have their income information and a credit report, you can do it the same day. It shouldn't take that long to get a pre-qualification.
Okay, another question, like a follow-up to that, Dan, is somebody asked about when you're approved with underwriting from those conditions you spoke of.
Mhm.
When you say conditions, are you speaking of things like if a child support needs to be paid up, or a credit card that's outstanding, things like that, when you say conditions?
Yeah, conditions, anything that the underwriter found that they don't, that wasn't answered. Let's say there is a debt, or there is a question about how long the child support is supposed to be for. I mean, that's one of the questions they'll have. So you'll need to get some the divorce decree. You'll need to get child support documentation to show how much longer they got to pay it. You know, if it's going to be ending anytime soon, or if you're using it for income, how much longer that's going to be. If it's going to be for 3 years or longer, so we can use that income. So those, and then they're also going to be looking for, there's, let's say, the biggest one that comes up a lot of times, if there's additional addresses on your credit report. And the underwriter was going to ask, did you own those properties? Have you ever owned another property? That type of stuff. So, but the other things are, if there were another big one, which comes up a lot, is there's any large deposits on your bank statements. Where did that money come from? What was the source of those funds? So stuff like that. I mean, or there might be, I had a situation where, the buyer had a lower income last year. Well, we had to get a letter from the buyer showing that she had a baby. So she was out of work she wasn't working for a couple of months. So that's why her income was lower. So stuff like that will come up. What things that's a question to the underwriter that we have to clear up before we close.
Okay. And this last question that came in is, do you have a preference between FHA versus conventional?
Okay. Because conventional financing now allows 3% down, which is less than FHA. Yes, there's mortgage insurance, but one of the things that FHA did the last couple of years, which I didn't like, and they had to because of what was going on, is that the mortgage insurance, if you don't put 10% or more down, you're gonna have that mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. It's not going to go away. You got to refinance it off. So on the conventional side, you have a little more of an advantage on that. If you put 10% down or more, and you can then, it's like 11 years still though. I mean, on a conventional loan, if your house goes up in value, you can get rid of it in 2 years. So that's one of the bigger advantages of conventional right now, and the fact that program too allows a 620 credit score. So 620 and 3% down. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but that's really good. But you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. But the downside is that there's income limits. So depend upon where you live. 80% of the medium income level is what they go by. So on those programs. So that's the only downside. But for most first-time home buyers, it's a great program. It helps out a lot. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything else?
No. Did we have another question come in? No, we didn't have another question come in, but I'm checking.
Okay. All right. So I tried to keep within the time limit you gave me. So I hope I did. I'm sorry.
Yes. You're fine. Yep.
Okay.
I don't know what. I see page 2 now. Am I supposed to see page 2 now? Or what page?
I was just going through to see if anything I might have missed talked about. But,
okay. Just want to make sure.
But this whole thing here, if to get that, so someone who wants to go through it all and see it through the is that one flyer I sent to you, and also in the back part of it has
I do like
a common.
I think when you put that the page about rent versus mortgage. So I'm always a fan. But rent versus buying. Now I understand, you didn't talk much about the rent to own options. I don't even know that's still available, but I'm always a fan of, or an advocate, I should say, for home buying, because I just feel like in that example you had, you're paying $1,200-$1,300 rent when you could be owning for less than what you're paying for rent, and you have, it's almost like I feel like you're paying somebody else's mortgage.
Yep, you are, and you actually are. That's why you buy a rental property. You don't buy a rental property; you buy it so someone else pays it off for you. I mean, that's the purpose. I mean, so yeah, you're always going to, you're always paying someone else. You're giving someone else equity instead of giving yourself equity. So right. Yeah, you're throwing money out the window. You're basically burning money. But you have to. But I shouldn't say that. You have to have a roof over your head. You have to have a place for your family. You have to have a place to live. So there's going to always be the cost of it. But why not have the cost be a benefit to you and your family in the future. In other words, the equity in that property. When you're renting, there is no benefit in the future for you. I mean, it's just, it's someone else's property. It's not yours. Now, when you mentioned the rent with the option to buy, yeah, that's still available. You can still do that. I mean, but it comes up to the seller. In today's market, with this being a seller's market, no seller's going to do that now because they can sell the house right away. But if there's a situation where they have
their money.
Yeah, they want their, unless you put a large amount of money down. I did one recently where the buyer put a sizable amount of money down and they were willing to do it. So they said, okay, yeah, fine. As long as we got this money up front and I guaranteed that we'd have them straightened out within a year, which we did, and they were fine with it. But that might come back. I don't know. We'll see. But at this point in time, but it's usually if someone, and for the people out there, why would you do that? Why would you rent with the option to buy? Well, you might be in a bankruptcy. You might have just finished the bankruptcy up and you need more time before you can buy a house. And you find a house, you can buy it now and you can pay how you normally work it out is that part of that rent payment you're making is also going towards your down payment. So you're not just paying rent, you're actually paying part of your down payment along with the rent. So it helps to build your down payment up, helps to get you in the house. And then when your bankruptcy is over, when your time up is for your bankruptcy, for FHA, you're looking at, the 2-year time period that once that's up, you can then purchase the home and not have to move again. So that's the advantage with rent with the option to buy and why that was a program that was a lot of people did take advantage of before.
Okay. And then I just had one more come in, Dan, about jumbo loans.
Yes.
And then jumbo loans, and then the time period after somebody has a foreclosure, bankruptcy, and short sale to buy a home.
Okay. I don't have the chart in front of me right now, but for conventional financing, a foreclosure, you're looking at 7 years, unless it was a short sale. And then I think it's like 4 years now. I think they give you for a short sale or did. For FHA, it's 3 years for a foreclosure. And VA is the same thing, 3 years for foreclosure. And for bankruptcy, FHA and VA are 2 years. And conventionals is, I think, 4 years. Yeah. So it's always better off on those sides to go FHA or VA because you get a shorter period of time for those two. Now, jumbo loans, right now, I think it's like 6 something, whatever. I mean, conventional financing has gone up. I mean, I don't have that number in front of me right now either, but it's in the 6s, I think, now that you can, or high 5s, whatever, that you can do a conventional loan up to. So a jumbo loan, whoever that person is, if they want to email, I can give them more information on that, what they're looking for. With the guideline, with the maximum loan amounts going up, you might not be in a jumbo loan anymore. For some people, we're thinking, but it all depends upon where the house is, where the home is you're looking at buying. Every area has different, but for FHA and VA, they've gone up too. So you'd have to be pretty up there to get into the jumbo range now, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh, okay, because it's more loan types. Yeah, more for the conventional. Sorry, I was talking to our media person here, Pastor. So, you know what? I'm glad you said this with the financing with a bank. I mean, trying to get a loan approval after bankruptcy, because you have a lot of people. Think about coming out of COVID. We might have a lot of people that lost their job. Maybe they had to file bankruptcy. So, for you to say 2 years there, I just want everybody to know on the line, there is life after that. So maybe when you get your new job, you're trying to rebuild your credit, you still can own your own home. Like, all is not lost.
No, correct. And during that time period, well, if you have filed bankruptcy and you're in that the year or so or 2 years after your bankruptcy, like I said earlier, do a budget, sit down, figure it out, what you want to do. You got to figure out what those numbers are and make sure you get yourself back online and get your credit back. And one thing to really look at is reestablishment of credit. One of those reestablishments of credit is renting. That always helps, but also reopen up some credit cards, reopen up some other stuff, but don't get yourself in the same jam again. In other words, it's too easy to get that credit card up. You want to keep that credit card at a level where you can pay it off each month, or don't get above 30% of your credit limit if you can. You want to keep it below the lower 30% of your credit limit. In other words, if you got $1,000 credit limit, you want to keep it around $300. That's going to that shows that you have more buying power. The more buying power you show, the better your credit scores are going to be. Okay, so you got to
Right.
do
So
whatever you
we're
can
not
to keep
maxing out our credit cards.
exactly, but you have to
Right.
reestablish it too after a bankruptcy. So you're in that fine line. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Was there any other questions?
No other questions.
Okay.
I think that's it for the questions. I don't know if you were going to another slide before we go over to Sharon, Dan.
Yeah, this other one here is just lender's role. Basically, we try to keep the process involved in everyone. When I do a loan, I not only keep you and the buyer in line, I keep your both realtors, buyer and seller's realtor, and I keep both attorneys too through the process, so everyone knows how it's going along. So there's no surprise anyone if we're having issues or if we're having problems. I'll let everyone know what we're working our way through, so they know what's going on. And also, if we're having successes too, I mean, everything's moving along. Let's get this, keep online. We're gonna be online with the closing, that kind of stuff. Then after that, we got loan terms, which kind of gives you some of these things you've heard, gives you some explanations what those things are, and then some different questions that you might have too with answers on it. So it's a nice presentation the company put together for just to have that you can, through the one QR code, where you can download yourself to have for yourself to look at later on.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Right. No problem. Thank you.
I'm gonna stay with us. We might have another question come in, Dan.
Sure.
But you can reach Dan at his website is www.lo.primelending.com. That's www.lo.primelending, PRIME lending, LENDING.com. And he can also be reached at area code 630-286-7323. That's 630-286-7323. And the flyer is on the screen with the QR code. You can actually take a screenshot now of that QR code. We're showing you that QR code, and you not only be able to view the presentation, but you'll also be able to reach Dan that way too as well with that QR code.
And you can start the process. There's another one, that's the Apply Now one, but there's another one that I sent you for the flyer. There's a new one I sent on that. There's a new one I sent you today for the presentation. You want to put that up for him?
My husband's back in the background, Dan, apologizing because he's like, I don't know if I uploaded that one.
No problem. No problem. But I would say if you give them my email, they can also email me too.
Your email too for Dan is daniel.lehman@primelending.com. That's correct. Daniel DANIEL.Lehman LEHMAN @primelending.com. And also we'll have this on our Facebook page. So if you need to go back and replay it or call the church office or contact us through Facebook, we'll make sure we'll put you in touch with Dan. So we're going to go over to Sharon Bird right now from Signature Realty. Thank you so much, Sharon, for joining us this evening. I love her email, speakdreambelieve@gmail.com. speakdreambelieve@gmail.com. I'm so excited to have Sharon here, and from Signature Realty, and she's also a member of NLRM. So she's really, really special. Not that Dan's not, but we want to make sure we give her some time to talk about home buying.
Yes. Thank you, Lady Bell, for having me here. So my name is Sharon Bird. I am with Signature Realty. We are located in Frankfort, Illinois. I have been a realtor since 2003. I took a break in there for some time and went and got my bachelor's in human resources. But there was a longing and a calling for me, so I got back into real estate about 3 years ago. So I want to talk to you from the viewpoint of a realtor. When you are interested in purchasing a home, of course, the first step is to, like Dan said, and some of this might be redundant, but you want to make sure that you have budgeted for that home. So a list of people that's included in the home buying process is, of course, is a mortgage broker or lender, your realtor. You will also have an attorney that you will need, an inspector, and also an appraiser, but the appraiser is given to you by the lender, so that is not someone that you would have to seek out. If you have a relationship with a lender or a realtor, they will also give you references of, people that they've worked with, that they recommend. So some requirements for buying a home, of course, is your FICO score and your debt to income, which is the most important in qualifying for a loan. And some of the money you would need for down payment or for closing cost assistance is your down payment, um, as well as some areas for the inspection, for the appraisal, for the attorney fees. All of those things can be included into your closing costs. So you'll have about 3.5%, which should be allocated to your down payment, or 3 to 3.5%, as Dan said, depending upon the type of loan you have. And then about another 3.5% saved for your closing costs. So when you are purchasing a home, of course, you will have your specific requirements that you're looking for: beds, baths, garage, basement, etc. But some things you want to look for would be, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and you are not looking to do any work, you want to make sure that the property, uh, the structural is there, the structure of the property is sound. You want to make sure that the roof is in good condition, and you want to make sure the mechanics of the house are in good working order. So the water heater, the furnace, the central air, all of those major appliances. So you want to make sure that those are in good working order. If you are open to doing work, there are possibilities where you can get a 203K loan. And how that works is, let's say, for instance, you qualify for a $150,000 loan. You find a property for $100,000, but it needs work. You could get a 203K loan of up to $50,000 because that's your approved amount to purchase a home. So that will give you the opportunity to be able to make any repairs or any upgrades or renovations that you want in that property. So the steps to buying a home would be, of course, first you always want to go to a lender, because like Dan said, we don't want you out here looking at something, you fall in love with it, and then uh, your budget doesn't qualify you for that. So you always want to make sure that you get pre-qualified with a lender first prior to going out to look for a property. Once you start the property search and you find something that you are interested in, your realtor will write up a contract on your behalf. You will sit with the realtor and sign it, and it will be submitted over to the listing agent. With that contract typically comes earnest money, which has to be, it's not required, but earnest money is anywhere from $500 to $1,000, depending on uh, the purchase price of the home. The higher the purchase price, the more money you would typically put down on the property. So once that's submitted, and it's approved, then you would really get into the loan buying process, as well as getting an inspection on your home, which I do recommend, because to the plain eye, there's things that we can't naturally see, where an inspector might be able to point that out. So after the inspection, on the other, simultaneously, the lender is working on your loan. So they might be asking you for more information than what you generally submitted when you put in your application. So they basically are digging a little deeper to get you approved for that loan. Um, so typically, after the inspection, you have another area where you would negotiate. So let's say some things come back on the inspection that need to be looked at. You can ask for a credit, which will go towards your closing costs, or you can ask for the seller to repair that item. So depending on which way it goes, that is just another negotiating area. And then if everything works out, then we move on to the next stage, and that's when you'll have your lender, give them the green light to go ahead and send out the appraisal on that property. You just want to make sure that when you are purchasing or when you are in the process of looking at a home, you want to make sure that you avoid buying things when you are in this home buying stage. So you want to make sure you're not buying a car. You definitely don't want to open or close credit cards. You don't want to do anything that is going to affect your credit. You don't want to change jobs, buy large appliances, switch banks, anything like that. And you definitely don't want to fall behind on your bills. And definitely do not co-sign on a loan for anyone. So those are things that will affect your credit and ultimately affect your loan, where you might not be able to close or buy that home. So definitely don't do anything. I tell people while they are in that process, as soon as that loan closes, you can go out and buy whatever it is that you want. So we want to make sure that that your credit stays good and that your income is not affected on there. Any questions, Lady Bell?
They co-sign. Oh, wait. Okay, I had to wait for my media guy to unmute me.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
But when you co-sign for buying for somebody's loan or something like that, let's say it's a mother, she's trying to get a new house, she's co-signing for her daughter. She's trying to probably understand when you co-sign, that debt is just as much as yours as the person whose debt it is. Like they're going to come
Absolutely.
looking for you too. Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. It's almost like you are both going into that debt together. So just as well as it's being put on that other person's credit report, that debt is also being put on yours. Typically, the
Right.
first thing that happens when that person defaults on that debt is they call that cosigner. They call that cosigner
Yeah.
and let them know, hey, this is past due XYZ. So you want to make sure that that you don't put yourself in that type of situation, especially if you are not sure if the person is credit worthy or financially stable, I should say.
Right. And Dan, I think a part B to that would be, have you seen a lot of people like not be able to qualify because the person they co-signed for like defaulted?
Oh yeah, you see a lot of that. I mean, the problem you get too is a lot of times it's car loans. Someone needs to get a car loan and they co-sign with it, and that person doesn't pay the car loan on time, and that negatively affects your credit. And also, pull a credit report and say, hey, your credit scores are in the low 600s. What? Why would they be that? And then they find out that the car loan they co-signed with, the guy, their son or cousin or whoever it is they co-sign with, isn't making the payments on time, and now they can't qualify for the home that they're looking for.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's very important to make sure. I, personally myself, I always take the attitude: if you can't buy that without me co-signing, then you can't afford it.
Right.
And don't put
Yeah.
yourself
You told me
involved in
that.
Yeah. And I told I told the same thing to my girls. I mean, I have 3 girls. I said, hey, if you need me to co-sign, you can't afford it.
Right. I
And
tell my
I'm not
boys
gonna. I don't want to afford it too. So there's, when somebody has to co-sign, unless it's really a dire situation, I would avoid
right.
it. Yeah.
Now, what about if you were in the process of buying the home, Dan, and then, you know, you have a car accident, your car is totaled. So does the person still have to wait? Because what if they had a car where they only had a year left of payments? I'm pretty sure that affects their debt to income ratio. Now they're
Yes.
up here trying like, oh my God, I'm about to close and I need to buy a car though. I need to get to work. How does that affect them maybe? Or maybe not?
Well, sometimes you got to be creative in that situation. I mean, that car loan, if a new car loan is going to be higher than what they have now, maybe it might be worthwhile to go buy a junker, buy something, or if there's a family member who's got a car you can use. Because that is, that last minute car, you can always get a car payment. And why is that? Because they come get the car anytime they want. If you when you
Right.
do a foreclosure, yeah, I mean, it's going to take months, sometimes years, to get that property. So they're not, you have to be smart about it. You have to be smart about it, and when something like that, like that's good for you to mention that. Whenever there's a last minute problem, if you don't let your lender know, if they, oh, no one will find out, that's when problems happen. It's the most intimate thing you can do is, you get involved in people's lives when you do a loan. You get involved in their personal lives, and you have to let the lender know when something like that happens. Losing a job, losing your job's gone down, you're not getting the overtime you were before. You have to let the lender know, because you might end up buying a house. Then now we have to re-look at that information, and now you don't qualify anymore. And that's we don't want to get in that situation. We don't want to. You always communicate. Communication is the number one thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you have anything else, Sharon, but I probably wanted to talk a little bit about budgeting, because I think when you said that, Dan, that's important, because Sharon talked about you don't want to come look for a house with Sharon and you get all excited about this $300,000 house, and then Dan tells you, sorry, you only qualify for $250, and you're disappointed. So
I'm always a bad guy.
The best way to the best way to kind of set the budget. How does that new person, like, how should they go about that? They should be writing all their debt down. They should be trying to pay off some debt. Like, what does that kind of look like? Because somebody may not even know how to even set their budget.
Well, there's actually websites you can go on and you get information for a budget. It gives you a list of things, which is nice, because you can go on, and they'll give you the things you don't think about. That's part of your expenses each day, or each month, and do your expenses. Then also, you have to look at what your take home is. We look at your gross pay, and that's how we qualify by your gross pay. We use percentages, but you yourself have to look at what am I taking home? What are my actual expenses? What is my actual income in my pocket that's in my bank account, and minus from that all your expenses, and see where you're at. You don't want to get in a situation where, a car problem. Now you got to fix a car. Now you can't afford to fix your car. If you can't afford to fix your car, you can't go to work. You can't pay your bill. So, I mean, you don't want to get yourself in that kind of situation. And so it's very important
you can
to go
default
through
on the loan.
line item all the way through it, all those different things. And there's some web pages now where you can go out and see what you're paying on that you signed up for that you forgot you signed up for. Like Spotify and all these other things you're paying $10 a month and $20 a month you forgot about. There's some websites there's some apps now you can do. They can find those things for you and let you know, so you can cancel those things out, because those little things get you. You got 10 of those things, there's $100 or there's $100, $200 that you didn't know about that was going out onto your credit card each month that you didn't know about. So, or you're not paying attention to. So, yeah, you got to look at all those little things when you're budgeting yourself.
Yeah, Spotify, Netflix, and the Car Wash Club will get you guys in trouble.
Yeah. all those little things,
right?
They're all increasing all the time too. So.
Yeah. This other question, Sharon, about where is it at? I wrote it somewhere so you said with the closing costs, everything can be rolled in to the closing costs. So you have your 3.5% down, the attorney fees, right? But not the inspection. Somebody's asking, no, not the inspection and the appraisal. And you always recommend them to get an appraisal, right?
Yes, I do recommend getting an appraisal. That will tell you the value of the home, whether you got equity when you're going into the home or not. So the one thing that's also outside of the closing costs is your inspection. So just be aware that if you get the inspection and things don't pan out, then you are just out of that money. There's no reimbursement or anything like that. So something,
and that can happen, right?
yes,
that can happen. Like you can do your inspection and the deal not even close.
Absolutely, it happens more than you know. An inspection can kill the deal if the two sides don't come to an agreement. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if it don't, another question came in about it. If it don't appraise out either, right? Then they're trying to get the seller to, right?
Yeah. So if it doesn't, go ahead, Dean.
You can always renegotiate at that point in time. And some people even put contracts together over the summer. People are paying like over asking prices, and some of those people might be upset that their values aren't there anymore. But you can always renegotiate and work those things out when that happens. But what people need to know is when you do offer, when the price is less than what you bought it for, you got to pay that difference, and then you got to put your 5, 10, or 15, 20% down from there. So it's very important to make sure what your financial situation is when you go and make a price, offering a house more than what it's worth, and you get yourself in trouble that way. Now under FHA under FHA and VA, you have a mandatory clause that protects you as a buyer. That if you end up paying more for that house than what it appraises for, then you have an out to purchasing that property, so you're protected on that side of it. And the seller has no choice but either lower the price or let you go, or give you back your earnest money, let you go. So,
and like you said, that was happening in the summer, but I think, Dan, we're out of that.
Yeah, I think
we're pretty much out of that window. I don't think anybody's offering more, right?
That window's gone. That window's gone now with what's going on. But I'm saying
yeah, those multiple offers have died down a lot.
Yeah. And I'm sure what many offers today. I don't know. I don't know many people looking at houses today though either. So.
Right. And then a question about equity and refinance. So how long, I don't know, you guys might know this, but how long would you say on average it takes to get equity in your home? And then how many times, is there a limit on how many times you can refi, or shouldn't you refi, or, so many times?
Well, you're always limited to you don't want to be, you want to give yourself some time before if you try to take value out of the property for appraisal wise, you got to wait at least 6 months to take the new value of the property. In other words, you bought a home, that purchase price stays with the home for about a 6-month time period before you actually go back to the market and see what the values are at that point in time. Refinancing, there's a cost. There's no such thing as a no cost refinance. Either paying in the rate or you're paying it or you're using that money to come out of your equity. So there's always costs. There's always an appraisal, but then again, sometimes with conventional, there's not. FHA, you have a streamline. We don't have an appraisal line, so it's a streamline. But you then have to come up with your closing costs. So there's no free lunch. You can refinance as often as it makes sense to refinance. In other words, if there's factors you have to look at. How much are you actually saving? How long is it going to take you to recoup that cost? If your cost of refinance can be recouped in a year or less, then it's worthwhile refinancing. Because you're going to benefit. And also, what is your goal? How long are you going to be in that house? If you're going to say I'm going to refinance today, but I'm going to sell that house in a year or two, well, why would you do that? You're not going to recoup the cost of the refinance. So you're kind of wasting money at that point in time. But if you say, hey, this is my forever house, I'm going to be in this forever. And if I can refinance to this low rate, I'll benefit over the life of the home. Yeah, go for it.
This last question I have here is, can I pay my house off sooner than that 30 year? And how do I do that?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of different programs out there where you can set up, you can tell you how much you can pay extra each month. They'll pay it off in a period of time. But if you pay, I always say if you pay, there are some programs still out there. I haven't seen many use them anymore, but where you can have a prepayment penalty. It can already be built into the loan automatically. It costs, there's some fees to that. So I recommend people not to do it yourself, but whatever benefits you get from that home ownership. In other words, you're getting more money back in your income taxes because of that house. Put that towards the principal. But if you set your payment where you put so much towards your payment's going to be set up. It's going to be your principal, your interest, your taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance. And there's like another, and that other you put down principal. And there's programs you can go into that are out there that you can put down. If you put a couple $100, you put $200, $300, it will tell you how much you'll take off of that loan. And the quicker you pay the loan off, the less you're paying into it. In other words, you're almost paying for 2 houses by the time you get done with 30 years. You buy a $200,000 house, but you pay for 30 years, you're paying almost $400,000. So if you can take off some of those years, and you take some, now you're paying more principal, less interest. You're taking off a lot. You're taking off that money on that house. So if you take 10 years, if you can pay an extra payment a year, I think you can take off 9 years off the loan or something like that. that's worthwhile. It's always worthwhile doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I don't have any more questions. There were no more questions. Pastor media person. Okay. Any closing thoughts you want to leave with us, Sharon? And then Dan, before I kind of close us out?
I just like to say, if you have been interested in purchasing a home, but you feel like your credit or your income or whatever is holding you back, you won't know until you begin the process, until you start looking at your credit report, until you start doing a budget to actually track where your money is going and where it's coming from. I definitely would say the first step is to reach out to Dan, reach out to a realtor, a lender, and get that ball rolling. Because once you know where you are, you can kind of figure out what it needs to get you to take you where you need to be.
Yeah,
I just saw a video earlier today on this, and it makes a lot of sense. He said that 90-something% of people don't do something because they overthink it. You can overthink yourself out of anything. Oh, I can't get the loan because of this. I can't get a loan because of that. I can't get so it's just you're not going to do anything. Well, if you don't know, if you're not an expert, you know everything that's going on there. You're just and take that negative view of it, then you're never going to buy anything. So like was mentioned earlier, you need to find out where you're at, and it doesn't cost you anything to find out. If I run a credit report on you and no one else runs another credit report, it's not going to affect your credit report. It's not going to affect your credit report, but at least you know where you're at. And then we can guide you on what you need to do to move forward. Having the information to move forward is what you need. Thinking you can't do it or thinking, overthinking it. Yeah, well, you're not going to do it. You have to make the first step. You have to make the first step and make the decision you want to do it, and then work with us, and we'll help you. We'll get you through the process.
Thank you. No, thank you both for that, because it's a hard step. I know for me many moons ago, and Pastor Jay, it was a hard step for us to make at first. And I know there's a couple people at the church, Sister Sharon has been able to help, and along that process, they thought they would never be able to buy a house. I think she was one of the girls at the church. She was about to turn 20, and another one was like 23. And I'm always a fan of, like I said, of home buying. If instead of renting, because I'm just, call me money hungry, but I'd rather pay myself and pay my debt down than pay somebody else's debt down.
You work hard for the money you have. You don't want to give it away to somebody else.
Right.
Keep your money in your house.
Right. Yes. So
right
everybody
thing.
online, please keep your money. If you can. And we know there are times you might have to rent, but we're all fans and advocates on the line here of keeping that money. So thank you for joining us. I want to make sure you have their contact information. Then I'm going to say a couple of announcements here. So again, Dan Lehman with Prime Lending, he can be reached at daniel.lehman@primelending.com. And that's 630-286-7323. And then Sharon Bird for Signature Realty can be reached at speakdreambelieve@gmail.com. Speakdreambelieve@gmail.com. And her phone number is 708-808-0407. So I hope the management series has helped someone. And like I said, at some point, I think we have 50, 60 people on the line. You can come back if you missed a part of this. Don't worry. That's the great thing about virtual and social media and all our live streaming. You can just rewind to that part and things like that. You can share this. You can hit the share and send it in Messenger to a friend. You can actually hit the copy link button, and you could text this link to any of your friends or family that are looking to buy a home and looking how to start this budget, and contact these individuals or whoever they're working with pursue this dream of home ownership and financial freedom. So I look forward to all the good reports that I'm going to hear, that people are not only going to be contacting you guys, but they're going to be owning their homes in 2022. So we're excited about that. Also, just a couple announcements. Next Sunday is the church's 5th year anniversary, the Year of Grace. We're excited about the church's 5th year anniversary, located there at 7837 West Lincoln Highway in Frankfort, Illinois. That is February 13th at 12 noon. And I believe media step-in person will show that flyer. Okay, that's up on the page. Thank you. Thank you, Husband Media. Yes. And then also, that also is the same day as the Super Bowl. Although the Chicago Bears are not in the Super Bowl, so unfortunate. But the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe, are. Or right? No, the Buccaneers. No, who won? I can't remember. No, it was I think it was the Buccaneers, right? No, the Bengals.
The Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, Cincinnati Bengals and the Rams. Yeah, Kansas
LA
City.
Rams.
Oh, LA Rams. So yeah, the Kansas Chiefs, they didn't make it. But we'll be watching the Super Bowl the same Sunday, February 13th at doors open at 5 p.m. We'll have
So the game starts at 5:30.
Oh, the game starts at 5:30 now.
The flyer is incorrect.
Oh, the flyer is incorrect. So
The doors open at 4:30.
oh, the doors will open at 4:30. All
And then
right.
the game starts at 5.
Okay, so the doors will open at 4:30, and the doors open at 4:30, and the game starts at 5:30. So there's an error in the time of the. Oh, okay. So the guy that did the flyer, he's on Eastern time zone, so we won't hold that against him now, since we're on Central time zone here in the Midwest. All right. So we hope you can join us February 13th. There's a lot going on that day. You can join us at 12 noon. We'll be casual. You don't have to dress up. You never really have to dress up to kind of to NLRM. And then at the Super Bowl party, you can wear your favorite jersey or T-shirt and join us there at 4:30. As well, we look forward to seeing you. Please join us all month. Every Wednesday, we're going to be back. Provided there's no snowstorm again next Wednesday, we'll be at the church next Wednesday, also live streaming this. Next Wednesday, we're going to have Jackie Allen from the IRS. She's going to be sharing with us some tips on how to keep us all out of a orange jumpsuit and imprisonment from your taxes. Okay. And then we'll right. We want to make sure we do it's tax time, and we don't want any deductions and doing things and claiming things we should not be doing, or Jackie Allen saying you will be the ones auditing you and coming to get you for the IRNDS. All right. And then we also have Miss Elizabeth Stubblefield. She's actually at Fifth Third Bank, talking about a whole different slew of loans and financial freedom and budgeting too as well. She's also the real deal. She will tell you what you want to hear, not what you want to hear, I should say, but what you need to hear. So please join us next week, Wednesday. But now is our opportunity. On Wednesdays, when we have Bible study, we offer people to sow into the ministry we call it our midweek seed. You could sow into the ministry by our website, www.nlrministries.org. We also have Zelle, and our Zelle is give@nlrministries.org. That's give@nlrministries.org. We also have Cashapp available. It's $ NLR Ministries, $NLR Ministries. And we also have text to give. And you text 84321 and follow the prompts to give. So if you like to sow into the ministry, besides these management series and our food pantries and other venues, we just believe here at NLRM, we want to share information. What good is information if you keep it all to yourself? I believe that I've been blessed and fortunate to meet people like Dan and Sharon along the way to kind of help me on my journey financially, since we're talking about that tonight, and home buying. So I would love to have somebody else be blessed and be able to own their own home too as well. So join us all month long. We're going to be talking about health and wellness. We want to be healthy. We want to watch our BMI and make sure we're not, morbidly obese, and we have a holistic mindset to just be free and mental and space to not only worship in our worship experience, but also just not be having a wellness journey in life. And then we'll be doing time management with me and Elder Matthias, because I'm pretty sure in this complex world we live in, we're all just doing a lot of things all the time. And we want to go over some time management skills with Elder Adams and myself. So again, thank you for joining. It was Yes, hi, all my
Saying
friends.
hello to you.
Hi, my friends overseas. Thank you for watching. We miss you. Please, I know you might want to take you can't travel right now because of COVID, but trust me, if you could, we would love to see you. Keep watching us online. Everybody, share this even now after the presentation. After this evening is over, because we just want to make sure we get the word out to help people be financially free and also to access home ownership. So to my guests, Sharon and Dan, thank you for joining. And thank you all for tuning in. And we'll see you Sunday at noon or next Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Praise the Lord, everybody. My name is Pastor J.J. Bell, the founding senior pastor of New Life Restoration Ministries.
Hi, and I'm Lady Cece Bell, co-pastor for New Life Restoration Ministries.
We want you to come hang with us at 7837 West Lincoln Highway in Frankfort, Illinois. Our Sunday worship service begins at 12 o'clock noon.
And please join us for Worship in the Word at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays.
That's right. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at NLR Ministries.
And also, you can follow us on our website at www.nlrministries.org.
We believe that God will restore you and give you a brand new life.